For 2,000 years, one institution has made a pretty staggering claim to be the guardian of definitive, certain truth right here on Earth. But, how does it justify that? In this explainer, we're going to go inside the logic of the Catholic Church and explore the case it makes for itself, drawn directly from its own foundational text. I mean, let's be real. We're all living in a constant flood of information, right? Opinions, competing worldviews. It's a noisy world. And it really begs a fundamental question. Is there such a thing as objective truth that we can actually know for sure? Or is everything just kind of up for interpretation? Let's dig into one of history's boldest answers to that very question. So, for 2 millennia, the Catholic Church has said, hey, we don't just seek truth. We were given truth by God to protect and to teach. Now, our goal here isn't to debate that claim, not at all. It's to understand it on its own terms. We're going to unpack the logic and the story it tells about its own divine origin and authority, based entirely on its own claim. Okay, so where does a monumental claim like this even begin? Well, according to these texts, it doesn't start with some grand philosophy or a set of rules. Nope. It starts with a series of divine promises, what the scriptures call covenants. Now, you really got to pay attention to this definition. A covenant isn't like a contract you sign between two equals. The sources describe it as an oath, where God himself swears to forge a family bond with humanity. It's presented as who God is, an eternal exchange of love. It's deeply personal, not transactional at all. And this family bond, it sort of unfolds in stages. First, you have God promising Abraham this huge worldwide family. Centuries later, that family becomes the nation of Israel under the covenant with Moses. But the texts present these as building blocks, really, all pointing toward a final fulfillment, the new covenant established by Jesus Christ. And this, right here, this captures the core theological claim. The church, from this point of view, isn't some man-made organization that just popped up after Jesus. It's presented as the tangible, historical fulfillment of that ancient promise to Abraham, the worldwide family he swore to create, guided all through history by the Holy Spirit. But that brings up a pretty critical question, doesn't it? If the church is this divine family, guided by an invisible spirit, how is it actually governed here on earth? How is its truth protected from all our human error and divisions? This is a fascinating argument from the source texts. When critics say, well, the Pope's authority has been disputed since the very beginning, the response is basically, exactly. The very fact that there were arguments against this authority proves it was being asserted from day one. The waves of opposition only prove the existence of the rock they've been crashing against for centuries. It's a clever way to turn a criticism on its head. And this leads us to an absolutely crucial distinction, separating the man from the office. The sources are really clear on this. Peter, the man, was flawed. He denied Christ. But the theological claim is that the office of the papacy is divinely protected. The argument is that God's promise is to the institution, not to the personal holiness or virtue of the guy who happens to hold the keys at the time. So why have this central authority in the first place? The sources argue it's actually a form of freedom. Think about it. Instead of being subject to the personal interpretations of countless individual pastors or theologians, this structure subjects everyone, from the brand new convert all the way up to the Pope himself, to an unchanging body of truth. The goal is to be liberated from shifting human opinions. All right, so we've looked at the basis for authority, but how does this actually play out in the real world with real disagreements? Let's take one core doctrine, the Eucharist, to see how this claim to definite and certain truth has been defended throughout history. The doctrine of the real presence is a perfect example of a totally non-negotiable claim. The teaching isn't that the Eucharist is a symbol of Christ, but that it is Christ. The language is absolute. As the Apostle Paul wrote, to treat it like it's just ordinary bread and wine is to be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. Pretty serious stuff. And believe me, this doctrine has been a battleground. Just look at this timeline. The challenges came from all over. In the 5th century, you had the Manichaeans being condemned for rejecting the wine. In the 8th, Emperor Leo waged war on sacred images, which is a similar fight, really, over the divine being present in the physical world. Then, bam, the 16th century Reformation fundamentally challenged this doctrine, followed by powerful kings like Louis XIV trying to make spiritual authority bow down to the state. So through all of this, the covenants, the papacy, the constant doctrinal battles, the church forges its identity as what it claims to be, an enduring witness to a single, unchanging truth. This whole identity is summed up in what are called the 4 marks. It claims to be one, meaning a single unified body, not just a loose collection of different opinions. Holy, not because all its members are perfect, far from it, but because its founder is God and it offers the path to holiness. Catholic, which is just a fancy word for universal, meaning it's for all people in all ages. And finally, apostolic, claiming a direct, unbroken line of authority passed down from the original apostles themselves. And that brings us full circle, right back to that universal search for certainty that we started with. The claim we've just explored is one of history's most influential, most powerful answers. So no matter what you personally believe, what does it tell us about ourselves that this 2,000-year assertion of absolute truth and the profound loyalty and fierce opposition it still inspires continues to echo our own deep human need for answers that are both definite and certain?